Good morning. It's me, Linda Burhans, with you today here with Candid Conversations. And with me, I have my friend Peggie Sherry. How are you today?
I'm great. It's so good to see you.
Yeah, it's so great to see you. We were just chatting before we went live about we need to see each other in person again.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good thing. So let's tell our listeners all about Faces of Courage and what it is and how you did it. And
Well, Faces of Courage, we are the fun phone call you get to make when you hear the words "you have cancer" or that your child has cancer, because we get to do the fun things. We do the weekend camps, we do the day outings, educational workshops, and now virtual workshops and art projects. And so I've been doing this since 1999. And we started Face of Courage in 2004, January of 2004. And we've had over 12,000 participants through our program since then.
12,000.
And all of our camps are free. Everything we do is free. And that's because we go out into the community and we raise the funds and we write the grants. And like everybody else, it's getting the money in so that we can produce more programs.
Well, my friend Jane Moore Sweat was bragging on you the other day. And it's the same thing, trying to raise funds, trying to keep the organizations going. It's been a little tougher during COVID, but I really believe in Jane's philosophy: give where you live.
Yes.
Because it affects us directly. Everybody knows somebody with cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody.
And it is interesting because there are organizations that are heavily funded and have big media budgets, and they come into your area and they're collecting money and they're pulling that money out of your community and taking it to like
Right.
St. Jude's.
Right.
There's no St. Jude's here. And so those of us who are working in the trenches on very small budgets, to really make a difference. Like Jane, we are a one staff person, but we have the amazing volunteers. I have 1,600 volunteers that help us pull off what we do.
Yeah, that's unbelievable, and
Mm-hmm.
it's so important. It's really so important.
Oh, we couldn't do it without them. We have children's camp, and we start with age 2 and then go up to 12 with the kids camps. And then the teen camp is 13 and above. And then we have the adult programs. But just with the kids camp alone, it takes 350 volunteers to run that one camp. So everything from the people who unload the luggage to the people working in the kitchen, to the 30 overnight counselors and the 80 day buddies and the people doing arts and crafts and waterfront and everything. I feel like a traffic cop. You go here and you go there.
Yeah. It's like a 3-ring circus, But I bet all your volunteers, it's like a gift to them, and I'm sure they have their own camaraderie too, and look forward to it.
People come and volunteer for different reasons. They may come because they've had cancer, they've had someone in their family who has cancer, they've had a neighbor who had cancer, and they want to find a meaningful way of giving back. And I think that caregivers, people who have lost family members, are significantly impacted by coming to camp and doing the fun part of cancer, which is, what we do. And it's important that they hear the stories directly from the survivors.
Yeah.
And see the gratitude.
Yes. And just look into someone's eyes and just be able to hug them and just be able to be with them. It's I could cry right now. It just warms my heart. So you got a new book.
We do. I have a copy right here.
Let's see.
And it is called Breast Cancer Tips and Tricks from 2 Survivors. And so with COVID, we were able to go virtual with our programming. And one of our cancer survivors that's been to camp is an author. And I previously wrote a book with my husband when he was in television many, many years ago. And she said, you know what? We have so much information. She's a 4-time cancer survivor, Phyllis is. And we have so much valuable information that's not necessarily on the medical side of it.
Right.
It's really about the emotional impact of cancer
Yeah.
and what we as cancer survivors need during that time. We need to know how to deal with insurance, and we need to know how to tell our family members. And we need to know that we're not alone when people that we believe would run in to help us turn their backs and walk away.
Yeah.
You know, I have a story of when I was diagnosed 22 years ago with breast cancer. I had someone that I felt that I could depend on during my time of need came into my office. She'd been crying what looked like for days. And she said, I can't be your friend any longer. I can't stand around and watch you die of cancer. And she turned
Oh,
around and she left, and I never saw her again.
oh my goodness.
It's been over 20 years.
Well, I'll
And
tell you, when caregivers come into my support group, especially for the first time, the first thing they say is, my life wasn't supposed to be this way. And the second thing they say is, what happened to my family and friends?
mhm.
Always. I
And
mean,
people
some people
don't
think it's like
understand that
contagious or something.
people don't understand that's normal. The
Yeah.
people you think that you're going to depend on walk away, and total strangers
Yeah.
walk into your life and become your lifeline.
Yeah. Yeah. It's totally
It's so
unbelievable.
sad.
Yeah. And you know what it is too? It's hard to ask for help. You know, I see that with caregivers all the time. I don't know if you know, there's a new app that just came out, and it's called Circle OF,
Mhm.
and it's free. And you can set up a profile for your loved one, and set, like, say you set up a circle of your immediate family, and then something changed medically or whatever. You can go in and just post that, and then you don't have to call up everybody that night and tell them everything, but you can set up other circles just for if you need help. So you go and you post, so if someone could mow my lawn, if someone could take my mom to the doctor, and then your friends can just go on there and go, bang, I'll be there Tuesday at 2,
Mhm.
because they don't feel like they're really asking for it. They're just kind of like posting it in a way. And then the people that really wanted to help know how to help.
And people do want to help, and part of our book is teaching the cancer survivor or the caregiver how to ask for help.
Yeah.
That you have to get to. Don't wait until it's so bad that you desperately need help to ask for help. You've
Right.
got to just bite it and do it earlier. And we also have about 18 pages of resources in the back of the book that are for things like Caring Bridge, which is very similar to that. It's
Yeah.
important that people in your circle get the information directly from you. No more of this, telephone game that
Right.
the story, you're 3 feet in the ground when you just were diagnosed,
Yeah.
how the story gets changed and
Right.
embellished. And so it's really important, but it's also important that you don't have to answer those people, because when you have something that's happening and you can put it out like on a Caring Bridge or that
Right.
app that you talked about, that people can give their well wishes and you don't feel like you have to answer them.
Yeah.
And there's just nothing worse than, I know that when I was first diagnosed with breast cancer, that I had a Caring Bridge, and 1,500 people were able to leave their well wishes on that. And I kept thinking at the time when my husband was alive that that was 1,500 phone calls, emails, messages that he didn't have to vomit his story over and over,
Right.
my story over and over and
Right.
over and over, which is exhausting.
Yes. The caregiver is so exhausted to begin with. And you know what? And I don't want to hear any nonsense from my sister that tells me I'm not doing it right.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, or whatever. I know she means well, but so if I can just post it, I think it makes things a whole lot easier. And I think if caregivers or anybody in these kind of situations, if you just take the time to sit down and make a list of some things that you can accept help with.
And we did that in the book too, to
Yeah.
say, do you go and pick up the mail out of the mailbox? Do you walk the dog? Do you drop your child off to school?
Right.
Are you making the dinners? Are you grocery shopping? Are you doing the laundry? Are you mowing the lawn? and then you can ask for help. And you have to learn to say, when people, meaningful as they may be, say, just call me if you need me.
Yeah.
You need to say at that point, if you're going to Publix, can you pick up my prescription for me?
Right.
If you're going by a Walgreens, I
Yeah.
can really use this. You know, I don't have anything on Friday, for us for dinner. Could
Yeah.
somebody, kick
Or
on you?
once a month, can you come take my dog to the groomer?
Mhm.
Now you set it up for them, kind of thing. And because when my mom passed away, I met a friend in the supermarket one day, and she said to me, "How you doing?" And I said, "I'm doing okay." And she said, "I'm sick of hearing this, Linda." She said, "I have to tell you, when you took care of your mother, you stole my joy." I said, "What?" She said, "I could see you swimming in quicksand, and every time I asked to help you, you said, 'No, I'm okay.'" She said, "You stole my joy from helping you, and you never really gave me the opportunity to know your mom." So I want people that are listening to this to think about that when someone asks to help you, they want to help you. Just give them something to help you with.
They do, and they feel helpless.
Right, because they
And
don't know what to do.
they don't know what to do. And so that's what we gave them, a list of 50 different things that they can offer to do
That's
in the book.
perfect.
And also things about, food. And if someone's going through chemotherapy, there are many issues around food. Sometimes they get blisters down their throat and they
Right,
can't eat regular food, or often they get nauseous. They can be hungry one minute and say, listen, I'm really hungry, could you fix me something to eat? And then you go in and you start cooking
right,
in the kitchen, and now they're nauseous from the smell of the cooking food,
right,
and now they won't eat. And you, as the caregiver, are so upset because now they won't eat. But
right.
you don't realize that the smell of that cooking food is making them sick.
Yeah,
And so, it's important to know that maybe cooking in a neighbor's home, if that's the issue, then bringing the food home and then preparing it on small plates in
yeah,
small amounts. Don't my husband was a fabulous cook, and he would make these mountains of food and put them in front of me, and I wouldn't eat it.
it's
As
too
much
much.
as it would have been fabulous, I wouldn't eat it because it was just too much for my eyes to take in and
Yeah,
my body to even understand. And he finally just stopped and goes, "What will you eat?" And I said, "Just make me some chicken noodle soup. Don't put anything fancy in it.
right.
Just chicken noodle,
Yeah,
and some chicken soup stuff."
yeah.
And I ate that for 3 weeks because that was the only thing that felt good to me. And
And it's different to everybody. When my husband was dying, all he wanted was just make me a half a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, Linda. If like I said, if the whole sandwich would have been too much, it was a little too overwhelming for him. But so once we got that dance and I could figure it out, the smaller portions, when he is hungry, to try to have something right away, because that can change in a little while. I
mhm.
think that was good. But I think for the caregivers too, people were calling me and saying, "Oh, what can we bring? What can we bring? What we want to bring food. We want to bring food." Well, he was barely eating, and I could care less, but. And one day, one of my friends called up and she said, "Tonight I'm bringing wonton egg drop soup." I said, "Good, because none of us like that." So she goes, "What do you want?" I said, "This is what I want. I want chicken noodle soup for Tom, and I want a bottle of Pinot Grigio for me." So I told them what I needed, but it's true.
But that's what you've got to get to, is telling people what you need. And it's simple things like sending cut flowers that die and drop off, and you have to clean up a dead flower days later. I say to people, don't send flowers, send a plant,
Yeah,
or send one of those things made of fruit that the
right.
family could use, or a snack pack or something like that. But don't send something that's going to die, because that's foremost in our minds.
Well, and somebody else says to me, "Please don't send any smelly candles."
Oh
People go,
yeah.
"Oh, I can bring you a nice candle." Oh yeah, it's very nice, but smell can be so hard for people when they're ill,
Hmm.
and you don't know what it is. And so I was just like, "Nah, we don't need any of that, thank you."
And one of the things that we go over in the book, and it's as good for the patient as it is for the caregiver, is all kinds of things that you can do that are therapies outside of the medical treatments,
Right.
to, to do guided visualization, to do tapping, to do yoga, tai
Right.
chi,
Great.
qigong,
Yeah.
all of those things. And not everyone is going to, adjust or love everything, but if you try different things, you might find something. Music therapy might be good for
Yeah.
someone. Walking therapy might be good for
Right.
someone. Just find something that allows you to get to a state of calm.
Yeah.
Because I really believe, and I know you, teach this, dis-ease of the mind causes disease in the body,
Yeah.
that we should not be under constant stress. I believe that it leads to early death in caregivers.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Hmm.
many caregivers die before the person they're taking care of
Hmm.
because they don't take care of themselves. They don't go to the doctor. They don't eat right. They're just so busy taking care of their loved one. And I say to caregivers, this may sound a little harsh. I say, but if you're not taking care of yourself, you're doing a disservice to your loved one. And when I
Isn't it
say it
kind
like
of
that, they kind of like, okay,
it's
you
kind of
know,
like the plane when the oxygen mask comes
yeah,
down and they say, put it over you first before you put it over the kids.
yeah,
Is that if you're not there, the kids aren't going to get a mask on.
right. And your loved one wants you to be healthy. Your loved one is so grateful that you're taking care of them and everything. They want you. They need you.
Hmm.
So we have to just remember that. And maybe when we're looking for help, maybe it's just like, could you come over for an hour and spend time with my loved one so I can go for a walk by myself?
Or
Or
even go get a haircut.
yeah,
For the caregiver to do something, anything for themselves to get out of that situation. I knew a dear friend of mine, his wife was dying of brain cancer, and it went over several years. And when his wife died, the woman who had been cutting his hair for like 30 years saw the obituary and was shocked. And she said, he never told me that she was sick. And I said, because when he came to you to get his hair cut,
that was
he
his break.
talked about other things,
Yeah,
and I think that that's important when someone comes and visits a cancer patient, that they talk about the things that are at the office or with the sewing group or with the
right.
book club or what's going on at the church, something besides dwelling on the disease. We dwell on the disease all of our time, especially at night in the
Yeah,
dark, when the fears rise. That we don't want to talk about it with you. We want you to come bring us something to distract us.
yeah. Well, many times people will say to me, I want to go visit grandma or whatever, but I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I feel funny or I don't know whatever. So I say to caregivers, if you can create a memory box, just go online and if grandma was a Girl Scout leader, print out some pictures of Girl Scouts or whatever it was. Leave that box there. Then when someone comes in, they can pick it up. And if you're smart enough, you put on the back, it was Troop 1410. But then you can have a conversation about something that's easy for them to have a conversation about, probably about stuff that you never would have heard about before.
Hmm.
It's just a simple way because I feel uncomfortable, I might not go to visit, and that's not good.
No, they need that. They need that distraction. The caregiver needs time that somebody is looking after that patient so that they can sneak out of the room.
Well, you know what? And the person you're caring for needs a break from you too.
Hmm.
I think many times they're mumbling underneath their breath, would you please go take a walk? But it's true. They need to see a different face and see someone else too. And I find it's very funny too. Like certain caregivers think I'm the only one that can do laundry. Nah, everybody can do laundry. It's not your job. You don't have to be stuck with that.
But it's important for the person that's visiting to realize that the patient may have been a great host in the past, and it may be very difficult for them. I know that after my double mastectomy, that someone came over and she was like, could I just have a hot tea? And I couldn't lift my arms because the microwave was up.
Oh God.
I couldn't lift my arms, but I did it anyway because I was trying to be the host I was normally used to being. And I almost ripped out some stitches. And I thought, you know, I'm glad she's here, but I can't be the host I want to be. And I can't sit here all day because really after you being there about 20 minutes, I can no longer sit up.
Yeah, that's the thing too. I had to, when my husband was really ill, I had to tell people you can come, but you can only come for 15 minutes.
Hmm.
That's all he could take, or he would be too uncomfortable. You know, and there were some people in the end he just too sick.
Hmm.
When we have to respect that too, because I've seen the other extreme where somebody comes over and they think they're gonna be having a party there or something. You know, and they're gonna stay there 3 or 4 hours, and we're gonna do this. And no,
Mm-mm.
no,
Yeah, they've
that's
just got to limit that. And it's interesting too that when someone gets better, that we find ways of disengaging from the caregiver. And I always said that when I was ready to go back to work full time, that my husband had become such a great caregiver that he became a vulture on my shoulder. You know, that he, you know, he knew for the months that I was unable to work full time that he had to drive the car. So he would make sure that he pulled my seatbelt and that he shut the door
yeah,
and that, you know, he jumped up if I had a plate in front of me that needed clearing.
right,
And I made a pact with God that if God would give me the strength to do dishes again and do laundry again and to vacuum a floor, that I would never ever complain again. But I
right,
also knew that I needed to take my power back.
right,
And that is a difficult thing. And you know, there's no books out there talking about those things. There's no books out there talking about the last doctor's visit that you go into. Mine was April 24th. That was the countdown of the last doctor's visit. And when the doctor said, go forth and be normal, I'll see you in a year, you walk out the door and you sink in that quicksand, like you were talking about before, of your family expecting you to be the person you were before cancer, that you
right.
just magically are done with
I'm
cancer,
done.
and that, you know, how to transition and how to teach people about your new normal.
Right.
And this is how I'm going to be. And then in the book, we also do the steps to becoming a thriver. A lot of times people get stuck in the victimhood of cancer.
Yeah.
Oh, I've had cancer. I'm going to be in pain. I've lost this. I've done
Right.
that. And not looking at how did it how did it benefit you? And I always get a kick out of people who say cancer was the greatest gift I ever got. And you know, to someone not in that world, you would think that they've lost their dang minds. But the truth is it can be a gift, and you can get to a point that you move out of that survivor and into a thriver.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, that we give you steps of how to vision board and how to project into your future what you want your future to be, because oftentimes that is changing jobs and
Right.
changing relationships.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me how many people divorce during cancer.
Yeah.
And oftentimes in the beginning, it's the man that says, hey, I can't handle this. I can't fix this. I'm hardwired to fix things.
Right.
I'm out. And
Right.
then oftentimes at the end of cancer, when it's over and done, somebody says, listen, I'm not going into that relationship the way it was before the cancer.
Right.
And so, you know, there's all these dynamics. It isn't just the diagnosis, it's not just the treatments, it's not just the side effects, it's all the other things, that ripple effect of
Right.
the emotional side of cancer that no one talks about and no one writes about. And when we're at camp and we are talking about it, people feel like, oh my God, this is
Thank you.
happening to somebody else.
Yes.
It's not just me.
Yeah.
And so that's why
I'm
we
so
do.
glad. I'm so glad you wrote this book. And where can our listeners find it?
It is available on Amazon, and but we are making this book available for free to anyone who wants it. And so it is. Um, it, Phyllis and I did this as a labor of love. We are taking no money from this. Any books that are purchased on Amazon, whatever money comes back goes directly to Faces of Courage to purchase books to donate to doctors' offices and infusion centers and to support groups. But anyone at any time can download the book. Right now it's available in English in a PDF form on our website. So they go to the front page of our website and you can just click on the free book offer and we email you the PDF of the book and the cover. And then probably in about 5 weeks, we will have the Spanish version ready. It has been translated and now it's just being proofread and then it will be available. And starting this afternoon at 2 o'clock, Phyllis and I are writing another book, and this is going to be for all cancers. This one was primarily for breast cancer, but we're going to pull out the information that is breast cancer driven and put in like a glossary of words. Because a lot of times people hear the words, you have cancer, and then the conversation changes to like Greek. Like they don't understand what a diagnosis is or what a stage is or what chemo is or radiation or what a port is.
Right.
Give you a perfect example of that is that I had a volunteer and her mother was going through chemo up in Ocala. And she came back from a visit and she said, oh my God, Peggy, my mother's veins are all collapsed. And I said, what's going on? And she said, that's what I asked her. What's going on? And she says, well, I'm taking chemo. And so the daughter says, Mom, didn't they put in a port? And she said, no. And she said, didn't they ask you to put in a port? And the mom said, yeah.
Maybe.
But I didn't know what the word meant. So I told them no, because I was too embarrassed to ask.
Right. I get it. In my second book, Connecting Caregivers, there's a whole glossary in the back of there because people don't know what's a UTI, you don't know. You don't know until you're in that world.
And you're thrust into it in a highly stressful stage. And I equate it to, I was on vacation in Germany once, and there was a castle I wanted to go through. And all of the English tours were done for the day. But you couldn't get in the castle unless you went on tour. So I'm like, sign me up for the German tour. I'm good. Yeah. And so when people would look up, I would look up. When people would look down, I'd look down. When people would laugh, I would laugh. I had no idea what they were talking about. And that's what happens to us in cancer.
Yeah.
Is that you're thrust into this world where people are using all these different words and you don't understand what they're talking about. And you can pretend because you don't want to look stupid, but it has very difficult consequences.
Yeah. All right. So show the book again.
The cover is one of our body painted cancer survivors.
Wow.
That we've been working on a project for 10 years, body painting cancer survivors. So that is what the covers of the books will be, is some of those body paints.
Fabulous. And what is your website?
It is www.facesofcourage.org.
Okay, and I'll put all the information in the show.
Yay.
Thank you so much for being with me today. I hope to see you live soon.
I hope so too.
Thanks. Have a delicious day. Bye, everybody. Tune in next week for some more good information.